Okay, so part two. So I was talking about the pickups. So the Alpha and Omega pickups, really hot, but you wouldn't believe it. But this guitar, even with those hot pickups in there, and they're hotter than my Duncans, I'm sure, but they're not as harsh as my Duncans. My Duncans SH6 is, well, these are Duncans too, but my SH6 is in my Flying V, my Rhodes V. Those things rip your face off, right? They're just too hot for my Fender Hot Rod Deluxe amp. This thing will do it. Like this thing, it's hot. But clear, 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 clear. I've already recorded with this guitar a little bit. Again, been playing it like crazy. You could do arpeggios on this thing a lot easier than you would think, and my arpeggios kind of suck. But yeah, you can do that. But the clarity of these pickups, this is something that Mark Holcomb really wants because he uses a lot of really saturation on his playing. So he wanted the clearest sounding pickups he could get. And those are it. So of the high output Samer Duncan pickups, you're looking at probably the hottest being either the Black Winter, the Nazgul, or the Duncan Distortion SH10s. Is it 10s or 11s? And the Alpha and Omega pickups. Those are kind of like the hottest. And there's another one. There's a couple other ones that are passive. They're not active. These are not active pickups. Crazy good, clear sounds. You could probably play jazz with this guitar if you wanted a more sterile, non-hollow body jazz sound. This will do it for you. It does not do the Fender Telecaster thing. This thing doesn't do the twang thing, but it does that wow thing a little bit. But yet, this thing doesn't press out of tune. The string tension on this is pretty much perfect. Again, I'm not endorsed by this at all, guys. Like, Mark Holcomb is not paying me. I've never met the guy, whatever. Again, I only, I found the guitar before I found Periphery, you know what I mean? But this is what Mark Holcomb plays on stage. The only difference with his guitars is he has locking tuners. I don't know what kind of locking tuners. This does not have locking tuners. But so far, the tuning seems pretty stable, especially this time of year where the temperature's all over the map. It's like plus 10 today. It was minus 32 days ago. You know what I mean? It's March, right? Whatever. But that said, you've got such a kick-ass guitar for the money. It really doesn't get much better than this. If you're just after playability, sound quality, and then of course the aesthetics just happen to match. So you can get all that for like $1,430, tax and all, $1,610. Take note, Gibson. I'm still a Gibson fan. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fanboy. But, this could make you question your loyalty. I'm not loyal to any one brand. If it's a great guitar, it's a great guitar. So far, so good. Now, how will it hold up in 6 months? I don't know. Not every guitar I buy, unfortunately, fits the bill. But dress frets. Now, back in the early 2000s, around 2006, when I picked up my SG3, that was again a $1,560 guitar, about $1,800 with tax and all, with dress frets. The SG61 reissue at the time, like I have, was going for $1,900 with the dress frets. Dress frets. If you've never played dress frets, some guys, they don't matter, they don't matter. There's always the nothing matters type of guys on the internet that, this doesn't matter, you're wasting your money. Everything is you're wasting your money. I can guarantee you your $300-400 guitar is probably good enough for you. But you play this, you'll never want to play that cheaper guitar again. That's the way it works with these things. Once you realize what you're getting, 20-degree radius board the whole way. It's kind of like, it feels like you're playing the most finest classical guitar neck in the world. But it doesn't feel that wide. It's a wider neck, but then again, I'm used to the 8-string, bass, right down to a mandolin or ukulele scale. So like neck width-wise, lengths doesn't matter to me at all. The heel joint is very interesting the way it's cut out. It's out more on the front, which actually makes more sense from an ergonomic point of view than not. This guitar is just absolutely stunning. And trust me, it plays just as good as it looks, if not better. Very, very, but the neck is so smooth. Smoothest neck of any guitar I've ever played. I've never played a guitar with a satin finish neck like that was wet sanded down to whatever. That's got to be at least 3,000 grit. It's seamless between the binding. Like, you can't feel a single fret there. It's completely seamless. I mean, we'll see how it does when, like on a hot stage and stuff like that, where you're sweating all over it and all that. But again, this is what he uses live. And the gig bag's kind of cheap, but I mean, it's not bad. It's an average gig bag. It's a well-built, cheap gig bag if you're curious about it. But that said, you get a guitar like this, guys, if you're going to spend that much money, spend a little bit more. As soon as you can, get yourself a good case for it. Form-fitting case. This Lee guitar, you don't cheap out. You don't buy the cheap strings for these guitars. You don't buy the cheap case for these guitars. Comes with a case, it'll get you going. But, you really want to protect this investment. So let's say, yeah, too bad there wasn't a 6-string version of this. Well, wait, there is. You can get, see how many models. Technically, there would be there was a PRS 7-string that led to, it was called an SVN7. It was not a Holcomb signature guitar. It was an SE model. They made it a few years back. I found one for about $650. It's a shorter scale. I think it's 25.5 or 25-inch scale, which would be interesting with the 7-string. I wonder how it would work out with the tension. Mark Holcomb has 4 versions of the 7-string. He has a private stock one, which I think is a limited edition and pretty much you wouldn't probably be able to, probably $10,000 or something silly like that. Then he's got one that's just a natural finish. It's walnut and mahogany with like a walnut finish. Same guitar as this, all same specs. And then he's got a new one coming out. Only difference is it's got a blue burst, and it's got Scourge and Scarlet pickup instead of Alpha and Omega, which he says are a little more tamed down than these things. Now, they didn't put these pickups up really crazy high. I don't know if my camera's picking it up, but they are pretty close to the strings. But that said, they're not harsh. They seem to have a neutral mid to them, but a lot of clarity. And then the single coils, again, very clear sounding. So it doesn't sound like a really dynamic sounding Strat or anything like that. It sounds like a modern guitar, very clear. The point of the push-pull pod is just to tame the pickups when you're in the middle position so that, when you're playing clean, it's not as overbearing. Yeah, that said, gain, this thing is a very tight sounding guitar. That's the first thing I noticed about it, was how tight it sounds in comparison to other 7-strings that I've played. It could be due to the strings. It could be due to a lot of things. I know some of the guitars use a lighter B string to make it easier to play for newer players, and maybe that's the difference. I don't know. But again, I couldn't find this set of strings on the PRS website, which is again PRS Classics 10 to 62. They didn't have it, so I guess you just can't get them or whatever. Yeah. So far what I noticed with it, again, very clear, records very well, very chunky sounding guitar, more on the dark side. It's not a bright sounding guitar like my Jackson, definitely not as dark sounding as my LTD 8-string. That thing is just a black hole. It's so dark sounding. The black chrome looks awesome on this. The headstock, one thing about the PRSs is if you notice the headstocks do look kind of small, and it's different than like say Gibson where everything goes out this way. Everything kind of tucks in, and you can see that the string pull is almost straight. Well, that's why these guitars hold tuning really well. That's a properly designed headstock for a symmetrical headstock, sort of symmetrical, because it'd be sort of more symmetrical if it was a 6-string. But you got 4 on top, 3 on bottom. I wish Mark Holcomb would make an 8-string version of this. That would be really cool. Yeah, but you can get the 6-string version of this guitar with the 25.5 scale. Same things. There's two new versions. The new version is going to be 1,600 and something to start. I got a piece of something on my. Get off my guitar, you crumb. So these ones are a mega steal, and the 6-string version of this is like $1,300 before tax and all that. Canadian, of course. I'm talking Canadian. I'm sure in the States you get them for $50 or whatever. But I think they're like $1,000 in the States. Sweetwater, I think it was like just a little under $1,100. Same guitar, American. So for that money, guys, you want a pro guitar. Of course, this is just a couple of days of owning it. We'll see how it holds up over time. I never give anything a reigning endorsement, but out of the box, this one is probably the most impressive guitar I've bought out of the box. So between that and my Jackson Flying V, I've got some pretty cool guitars. There's no doubt about that. I do have plans for more, but I got to buy them at a certain rate that I can pay them off. It usually takes me about 3 or 4 months to pay off a guitar like this. But that said, hopefully I will be playing live with it. Even if it's not in a band, I'll just go on the stage and just do instrumentals with it, ambient guitar. I don't care. Something like this, you really want to, look at that finish though. Ain't that amazing? Ain't that amazing? So yeah, there's going to be lots coming down the pike on this guitar. Hopefully it holds up. Hopefully, but the quality seems to be there. The quality seems to be there the way they built it. It is beautiful. Like there's no camera, no pictures that do this guitar justice on the internet, period. Even your eyes can't really take in how beautiful it is. It's just, it's its own thing. So I do understand why Mark Holcomb, how he backs his product. Maybe I'll make that in the next video.